Well, happy Power Tool Sunday morning, fellow creators. I am currently sanding back what is essentially 20 years of paint off of the baseboard of what was my childhood easel, or tabletop easel, whatever. As we're leaning closer and closer to, this is mid-November now, we're leaning towards December, and I know if I don't get started on this, it's never going to get done before Christmas. So the old easel, which you guys may have seen where this saw lives now, when I got this saw, I'm like, well, I have to find a place to put this, and so the easel kind of got retired. And it's kind of just been sitting in the corner for about a year or so since I've had this. And I realized, you know what? This is technically a child's easel. So why not clean it up, as hard as that's going to be today, and give it to my brother's kids for Christmas. So I talked to my brother. I'm like, you okay with having this at your house? Should we send this to mom and dad's? And he's like, no, it'll probably end up here anyway. I'm like, okay, cool. So I took apart the paint covered side. It's got a regular easel side and a chalkboard side. I also picked up some nice colorful Hagoromo chalk and an eraser to go with that. And in addition to cleaning it up, I'm also in need of doing a little bit of minor woodworking. The easel itself, while fits on a tabletop, also has these standing crossbars, so it can sit maybe like 3 feet off the ground or so, you know, for a kid. But the other two bars either were still at my parents' house or got just recycled somewhere into something else. So I only have two of them. So I have to cut some wood and make two new versions of these so it does actually stand. So I don't think I'm going to do this all today. You liar! But I just want to get things started, at least get things cleaned up. And sanding back the old wood is first and foremost. I'm a little bit reminiscent of that wood panel Lazarus vlog that I did about 2 years ago, I think it is now. I was like, if I can get that much paint off of that wood panel, I can definitely do it with this. And it's getting there, but it's gonna take a while. Okay, so the base for this is clean, though I'm probably going to paint all of the wood pieces at some point, because again, I do have to cut those new legs for it. And those are a different color wood, or a different type of wood. So I think painting all of the wood sections to clean everything up even nicer would be better. Now this board is the opposite of the chalkboard. It was originally this white laminate, which is still visible under some of this. But I hit this with steel wool and two different solvents, and I cannot strip this back, and sanding is doing basically nothing. So at this point, I'm just going to get it as smooth as possible and hit it with multiple layers of spray paint. And then clear coat it a few times to make sure that is as clean and usable as possible. I mean, it is a kid's easel, but I also don't want to deliver them something that looks terrible, because it's been in use for 30 years. So as it turns out, I'm a bit more motivated to work on this today than I thought I was. So I picked up a can of Candy Bar Montana Black that I'm going to go ahead and give the wood bars a new coat of paint on. Also, I did opt for cutting the new legs, so I have those replicated short of the drilled out holes where the screws go. Kind of cold today too. I probably should not be in shorts right now. Might as well go grab the other one while I'm here. Yep, that's a good color. Come back to that a little bit later. Okay, so next is the center piece. And this, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get apart because these screws aren't going to come out. I got one out, and the rest of them I'm basically trying to strip them, just getting them to crack loose. Also, several of them were missing, so I replaced the one I took out over, and this screw I got out of my late grandfather's infinite screw box. So this is going to be really useful as well, because I'm missing the hardware for the legs as well. So this will get situated in between the legs and everything like that. But because I can't get this apart, it means I have to clean this by hand, which is gonna suck. So while I'm working on cleaning this up, I figured I'd give you guys the other updates, the other things I've been working on, stuff like that. I've recorded a bit of time-lapse last week of me working on this, so I'll throw that in the background while I'm talking. So I haven't had as much time to work on a lot of my studio projects as of late, as much as I would have liked to be. But I have found that I think I mentioned this one of the last vlogs. I think it's been like a month since the last vlog. But I am working on weekday nights a bit more as well, where I didn't used to do that. Somewhat motivated by current inspirations and just general need to create that kind of stuff. And through this past week, unfortunately, I had actually applied for a new position where I work, and I kind of got beat out from a job that, short of a month ago, would have been a deadlock for me to get this new position with more money and better benefits. They hired somebody from outside the company, which was really surprising. So I kind of psyched myself up for that job just to not get it. And right after that, I was feeling a little bit bitter. But I decided, you know what? Let me just work this in as motivation for current projects and stuff. And through that, just after like an hour of just kind of reveling in all that, I was like, you know what? Given the pieces I'm currently working on and some new ones I'm starting, despite the fact that I've got several month-old pieces that need attention, I was like, you know what? I have the foundations at this point for a new solo exhibition, probably this time next year. I decided that utilizing, I sort of repurposing, so an idea from a while back called the something like that which we hide, I think is what I was naming that, and it was the early stages of pre-YouTube coming out kind of stuff, where I was trying to work that in as maybe a group show or something. But since I'm now using a lot of stuff that I've been going through as fuel for my art, I'm probably going to have quite a few pieces, and at this point, going forward, I can already tell you I've got quite a few big pieces in the works that should be enough for a solo show in about a year. So using the starting out phrase here just as I don't know if it'll end up with this title or not, but I'm calling it the project at this point now, The Chaos Within. And using just all of the shit that's going on in my head as motivation to build out worlds that, while I always am building out different worlds, the worlds I'm building out now are a lot more visually chaotic. There's more pieces to the pieces that are messier and less refined and looser brushwork and all that fun stuff, which I then refine down into other more distinct pieces and distinct landscapes. So I think in about a year, as long as I keep on this path of working through unpacking my childhood a bit and figuring out exactly what to do with my life, more or less, I'm finding that the culmination of that, likely in about a year's time, is probably going to be a really killer show. So that's something to long-term plan into next year for. And I was thinking about it, it also probably means that the gallery where I show my work, one likely will end up being the place where that show lives eventually. I want to make sure I get my spot secured for that in advance. But I also want to be sure that I don't I don't want to make a promise I can't keep like tentative, tentative. It'll be this show or at this time, but I don't want to fully commit yet because I don't know what the year's going to be. Oh, that's what I was saying. So there's only like a couple of pieces now that are relatively new that I could take to the gallery, because like everything I've been doing pretty much since like June is now being fueled into what will eventually be that show. So it's like, I'll be saying to my Chris, the guy at the gallery, I'll be like, well, I can give you a couple of new pieces, but at this point, you're not going to see like anything from me unless you follow my Instagram, because everything from this point forward is going to be a push probably for that show. This stuff is caked on here. Chisel it off. You know, other than a couple of very notable big areas of dried paint, it's actually probably the cleanest part of this whole easel. Probably have to see what my sander can do at this point. Okay, so at this point, I'm probably not going to work on the paintings that I should be working on, because now I've got this extreme burst of motivation to just plug my way all the way through this project with the easel. So, I got the centerpiece painted, the middle is smooth, and I noticed that, interestingly, this middle section is the same sort of blue blackboard material as the blackboard side. Now, because I'm rehabbing this whole thing from the ground up, I thought about leaving it blue, but I was like, you know what, I want this to look as clean and new as I can possibly make it, despite the fact that the thing's like 30 years old. So, I'm going to be mixing up some blackboard paint, which I do using black gesso and some of the fine pumice gel. These two components. So I can work on that while other things are drying. Let me just take you guys off the tripod and show you around here. So this is the frame of the easel. I'm halfway through the rebuild. I want to get like one whole side done before I touch the blackboard side. So I, real quick, sanded and sprayed the one side of this. The other side's currently halfway through spraying. So this is sort of the old blackboard side. As you guys can see, it's very scratched up, and there's a whole lot of missing actual blackboard parts. So this side will be a lot easier to do, since it'll be just a brushed on layer or buffed on layer or something like that. It won't need as many layers as the insanity, which is the white side, which, by the way, is looking as good as it can, honestly. Since I sprayed it white and started hitting it with some matte clear coat, I noticed a whole lot of underlying texture that I just could not have guessed was there, other than, you know, standing it back to an insane degree. But it is looking okay. I do want to hit the back of this one and the back of the other with a darker color. So I'm going to use this ant gray to clean up the backs. And all of those bars are done. Those are the legs and that edge for the bottom of that. And this guy is the other half of that frame, which I'm going to get to right now. Now the whiteboard so far has like 6 layers of white spray paint, maybe more, and then 6 or so layers of matte clear coat. I'm going to give it gloss clear coat and then a really fine sandpaper that I can just buff the whole surface with. And it's 1 o'clock. I've been doing this since 9 a.m. and short of this can of Sprite, I have no food in my body because I've just been in super hyper-focus mode. So I need to stop and eat something just as soon as I get everything assembled. So the blackboard piece is now black instead of blue, and all of those imperfections have filled out. I just need to wait for this to dry. White side, the canvas side, is looking pretty good. I did flip it to paint the back a little too soon, unfortunately, which did give me some imperfections here, here, and here. But in theory, I can always touch those up just by hand. But that's where we got. Obviously, this side needs reassembled between that and the other baseboard. I do not have really the energy right now to also do the legs, but they are painted. They're mostly ready to go. The middle shelf is also looking quite nice. But as far as like that side of the reassembly, I'm going to go ahead and wait. I no longer need to worry about sawing anything at this point, so the heavy work is done. I can pull the car back inside and take care of that later. Also, I don't really want to put the legs on now anyway, because there's a good chance that once the legs are on, it's like I'm not going to be able to really take it apart. Well, not so much take it apart again, but I want to put it together and then take it to Christmas. I don't want to have to take it apart and back and forth a few times. That would suck. But it is mostly together now. So as much as I would and should be working on the big space painting, or this painting, or this painting, or this other giant thing that I started the other night, I unfortunately have to call the vlog here. But that's what's been going on with me. My hands are dirty as hell. I'm going to be making a bunch of scrambled eggs at 1:30 in the afternoon for breakfast. Because I have been doing this pretty much since the second I woke up. But I'm happy to have gotten at least this far with this project. I got the idea of rehabbing the old easel like a month and a half ago, and maybe 2 months, because it's kind of been sitting in the corner for a while. And with Christmas being as close as it is, I mean, Thanksgiving's right around the corner, but as soon as that's done, I'll be prepping for my annual Christmas party, which is the Saturday before Christmas. So the odds of me having this much time to do anything for working on this is probably one of the last weekends I'm going to have for this much amount of time. So at this point, the only thing I really am going to have to do is not drop stuff on the wet paint. Would be great. Seriously? Seriously? Let this dry, reassemble, and then probably relax the rest of the day as I'm working on editing and uploading this video. So, this is probably really annoying, isn't it? Thanks guys for watching. Keep on creating. Stay inspired, and I'll see you guys next time.